Hello, welcome back to another art tutorial with Ranchoarts Arts. My name is Ron Hall, and today the tutorial is going to be on the art of storytelling. And we're going to be talking about storyboards, comic strips, and continuous narratives. Now with storyboards, I think way back, telling a story through pictures or images like the hieroglyphics of the ancient Egyptians. In modern times, a lot of animation studios use storyboards to kind of paint a picture or blueprint of where they wanted to go with their production. And generally it was a big clipboard or big board they'd have on an easel with all these squares, 1 through 100, of how the story was going to unfold and the ideas, and they can be really basic or they can be very detailed. In a detailed format, I think of people in marketing that are trying to pitch a commercial or a product where they would tell the story of where they wanted their commercial to go. So with comic strips, we all grew up enjoying them. The daily paper or the Sunday paper with a big colorful spread of characters like Calvin and Hobbes or Peanuts, where characters we'd get to know and love, and all their little idiosyncrasies and mannerisms just through facial expressions and key phrases they would say, like "good grief" or whatever. We'll talk about that a little bit, and then also continuous narrative, where we have a character or protagonist that's shown through the course of time through images. And so relax and get ready to create with me the art of storytelling.
So let's take a look at some of the items we might need today. We have various colored paper, colored pencils, a Sharpie, ruler, a couple pencils, just regular large copy paper, X-Acto knife, and then a surface to cut on. So this is my storyboard that I use just regular large copy paper, and it's my blueprint on how to make a video on storyboards, comic strips, and continuous narrative. I've broken it up into 6 boxes, which kind of just break down the different segments that I'm going to be talking about today. And so I have my opening of my video, the materials I might need, all about storyboards, which we're doing right now, talking about comic strips, I'm talking about a continuous narrative, and then the closing of my video. And so as you can see, it's just a breakdown blueprint of what I might use to put together my video. So this is the beginning of a comic strip I made. I just used, again, a regular large copy paper, and I believe this is 11 by 16, and a regular pencil. Later on, if I'm happy with this, I can draw it more neatly, use a Sharpie, and even colored pencils to color it in. So again, this one is broken up into 6 boxes. You can make the sizes or the amount as much as you want to tell your story. And so the name of my comic is called Cats in Quarantine. So it opens with a cat looking out a window, kind of pans in a little closer to the cat and the window. It shows he's on a windowsill and pans in even closer. Now we're getting a even more close-up view, even closer, and you can see now what appears to be a paintbrush in the box. And then it pans back out to show you the full story. So it says in the bubble, "Oh, hey Poe, do you like my new painting? It's called Cats in Quarantine." And so obviously this is a painting, which kind of adds a twist, like some stories do, of mysteries and a twist. And comics don't always have to be funny, they can change it up, and that's just my basic drawing I did. So this is the second comic strip I made. This one is inked, and I probably would go back and refine it and make it a little more neat, but it's called Box Boy by Ron Hall. So it starts with Box Boy, our protagonist, our main character, and he is moving through. It says, "Mom, I'm hungry." "I'm not a trash can." "I am not a trash can." People, I am not a trash can. Box boy, lunch is ready. No thanks, I'm full. So that's just on copy paper, 6 panels or boxes, and it was done over in ink. So that's another example of a comic strip. And by the way, I didn't have to say it was funny. Okay, I wanted to hit some highlights on how to draw specific characters in different situations and really show how they're feeling without using words. Sometimes words will really help paint a picture, but sometimes mannerisms and facial expressions really help sell the message you're trying to get across. And so have different moods here. I've got happy, and generally I just do normal eyes with a smiley face or a smile with teeth showing. Sad or sick, I kind of do heavy eyelids with a frowny face. By the way, none of these have noses. I'm just illustrating eyes and mouths. For angry or evil, I'll generally have the eyelids kind of going inward with the eyebrows really going inward. A straight line, a slight frown, or even grinding teeth showing. With scared, excited, or worried, I'll kind of have the eyeballs right in the middle of the eyes with the eyebrows up high and maybe just a O mouth. For sleepy, heavy eyelids, but different from the sad or sick, the sleepy, I don't have any shine in the eyes, which really gives it a more tired look. The mouth is just kind of a straight line or just kind of an interesting mouth. For sleepy, I'll have eyes shut with maybe just a slightly open mouth for snoring. For funny or silly, I'll do some interesting eyebrows with just kind of a crazy looking smile. And that last one, I don't know what that's supposed to be, but the very bottom one kind of reminds me of a Lego character. The other thing I wanted to show was bubbles that you might see for wording, language, which is in a comic strip. The first one is a standard bubble. The second one you've probably seen before, where it's got little bubbles and then the big bubble, and then you do have the ability to just write the information of what the character is thinking or saying. With bubbles, though, a positive is it really helps tell who exactly is talking or who is thinking what thought. So a little bit about comic strips and things you can use. So this is an example of a comic strip that's partially done, but as you can see, it's outlined in Sharpie and then colored in with colored pencil. And so I envision the storyline. I wish someone would let me draw them. He finally convinces a friend. He draws the friend, and the friend says, "I do not look like that." The drawing would be abstract, and then the artist would say, "I think you look better abstract." So that's just an example of a comic strip with coloration. So this is my example of a continuous narrative. All of these are on colored paper or construction paper. They're all 4x6, so I have 5 rectangles, and the green part is cut all out with the black being a solid piece as its backing. And so I use an X-Acto knife on construction paper to do these, and it's called Tree Has a Bad Day. So Tree is our protagonist, the main character of the story, and the beavers are his nemesis or rival, the antagonist. And so let's take a look at how this story goes without words, and you can kind of figure it out by just looking at it. So this is the first one. Moving on to the second box. Here is the third. The fourth. And then the finish. So one thing I wanted to highlight with this is a continuous narrative is a passage of time, and so we see the tree in its normal state, and I want you to take a look at where the sun is, and so I'm kind of showing a passage of time not by just what's happening to the tree, but also the time of day And so you can kind of see the sun is going down. I have the sun kind of moving directions. It's going down further. And then in the last box, we have the moon rising. All right, so that is my continuous narrative with X-Acto knife and colored construction paper. Okay, now I wanted to get into the specifics of how you can do your own X-Acto knife construction paper piece for continuative narrative or just creating art. So the different items to review that we might need for this is a pencil, different types of construction paper. Usually the top layer will be something bright, and then it will really contrast the background that will be underneath the etched part. A ruler, your X-Acto knife. And I didn't talk about this before because I wanted to talk about in more detail the specifics. You can use just regular craft glue, a glue stick, or two-sided tape to adhere the two pieces of your paper. And now I wanted to talk about cutting it out. And so on the back of the piece that you want to be shown, you're going to do your drawing. And again, we have our cat in quarantine, and I wanted to show you the specifics. So everything that I've X'd out is going to be cut. And I've got little arrows here that show that those are going to be my only attaching pieces to the main piece, so I've got to be really careful. Once it's all cut out, it will be a lot more stable with the glue onto the black paper. And so one thing that I like to do is do little X's, and I know that that's going to be cut out, and it helps me kind of map out my process. And the other thing that I want to talk about is if you cut it out this way, it's going to be in reverse when you flip it around, and so it's fine that the cat's tail will be the other way and the tree will be on the other side. So we will get into cutting here in a second. All right, we're all set to get started here. Just wanted to talk about a couple things before I actually start cutting. Is you can either hold your paper to the cutting surface, or what I did was I got a couple pieces of blue artist tape, and this should just peel off after the fact without any damage to the paper. And so the X-Acto knife, I just wanted to talk about this real quick. You want to be really careful. They'll usually come with a little tip cover and maybe some extra blades. Sometimes they don't, but when you're pulling the cover off and putting it back in, really be careful. And for younger artists, I would really recommend having an adult presence or adult instruction as you go. So let's get started. So as I go, I'm really going to be careful of the little arrow areas. Those are going to be my main support to the main piece. I want to work inside out, so I'm going to hit all the little X spots on the inside, and then I'm going to finish with the outside of the window seal because that's going to be the most precarious cutting it out. So I'm going to just start making my cuts. So I've kind of cut all the way around the tail area, and I can actually use the tip of the blade to help pull some out. And what I generally do is I'll cut little pieces at a time. I don't have to cut this all in one piece, so I'll kind of cut the main piece out, and then I can cut a little more at a time, especially in the precarious areas. Cutting little sections at a time as you go just helps make a cleaner cut, and you can kind of see how you're going in the process. Alright, so we are back, and I've cut the main cat out, and I'm going to finish the rest of the piece, and we can put it together with the backing. Alright, I've got my piece completely cut out. I did make some modifications as I went. I gave a little more space just to add the stability to the construction paper, so I can take off the artist tape. And piece from the reverse side, and let's see how we did. So turn it around to the clean side, and there we go. So we can glue that together, paste it, or use double-sided tape to have our finished product, Cat in Quarantine.
Well, we hope you enjoyed the tutorial today. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay well, and stay creative.